Welcome to Jac Says Smile, where I will be sharing, not a little bit, but absolutely everything that I get up to with you, because nobody puts Jac in a box. Hey guys, it's Top Tip Tuesday and I am super excited to be sharing another top tip with you. So a few weeks ago I put out a question just asking what you want to hear more of, and what I got in reply was a whole load of questions, all super different, some about bullet journaling, some about dance, some more about general well-being, and I am super excited. Today I'm going to talk about a question that was asked that for me is a super personal one and quite a current one as well. And someone asked, when do you know when to put aside performing and focus on other things? So this conversation is it's going to be a conversation, this top tip. I haven't really planned it. I normally plan them out, but this one I feel it's a super easy one for me to talk about and to just get right to the root of it. So I think the important thing to remember is that it's going to be a long process with performing. For some people, it literally happens overnight, and for others, it takes time and time and time and time again of auditions, of classes and workshops and working on yourself. Because when you finish college, when you leave college, for one, you don't know half of the things that you need to know. One, because sometimes they just don't teach you them when in truth they could. And as well, you can't learn some things in school. You have to learn them in the real world. So again, this came from me, this question, from someone who has not been out for at least a year. So if you're watching this, can you please just know that this is literally the beginning. This is just testing the waters and finding your feet and getting comfortable in a new environment, and it's not going to happen immediately. Yes, it does for some. It happens quickly. But for others, it doesn't. And the work you put in that time, if you keep grafting, it will come. You will get that dream job. Anyone can get it. It's not even about talent half the time. It's about the work you put in, the people you talk to, and playing the game as such. Because at the end of the day, like any business, there are certain things you have to do to get there. There are also certain corruptions, but there are also things that you have to play at which are fair, even if sometimes they don't seem as fair. But maybe that then is when you realize it might not be the industry for you performing, if you really don't like the things you have to do to get to where you want. If you don't enjoy that, it's okay to feel knocked down by it and to sometimes, be downhearted. You have to give yourself that 10 minutes to cry over it, complain over it, so you can then put it away and forget about it. But if you dwell on it to a point that it's affecting your general well-being, then maybe then you might realize, oh, maybe this is not the kind of environment that I want to be in. And that can be hard because, especially as performers, as dancers, you're doing it from when you were 2 years old. But the important thing to remember is there is so much out there apart from all the generic 5 jobs they tell you you're going to do when you leave school as a performer. So for me personally, I've moved on to focusing on my writing and wanting to produce, and I run outreach programs and workshops for children and dance and spoken word. I mean, spoken word, I didn't know that was a thing I was going to be enjoying or doing or writing. I went to musical theatre school and I was literally I'm a dancer, I hate musical theatre. Yeah, all I want to do now is write musicals, and my dream is to have a musical in the West End that I have written, not to be in it. You don't know these things. So I think to be should I leave that behind? Maybe you're going on to something different, and that's okay. You can try new things, because that's what I did. I'm trying new things, and people always say to me, oh, are you finished with performing? And in my head at first, I was at a point where I was I'm not a dancer. Oh, I'm not a performer. I'm just a writer and a teacher and this and that and the other. But I never had that conversation with myself about actually wanting to stop performing. And if people know me well, they know that things came up at a time and that was working for me. It doesn't mean I don't want to go back to performing. I'm not planning a comeback or anything, but I do want to still perform in the future. But right now, I've got so many other amazing things happening. So if you feel like there is something else in your life or that you want to pursue it. That doesn't mean you have to move on from your performing career. The things that you will learn from the other things you do will also contribute to that. So it's important to not think about a performance career and moving on and doing other stuff, because generally the other stuff you do as a creative person will inevitably be linked. So yeah, I think it's important not to get stuck on the concept of when do I put performing to bed. See yourself as an artist. You're creative, just because you're working at things and going to classes, maybe you write music, maybe do whatever, XYZ on the side, but you don't need to, you're never not going to be a performer. I'm never not going to be a performer. I'm never not going to be a performing artist, even though I don't perform. And right now it's not for me, and it's not what I want to be doing right now.
So these are the 3 things I really want you to take away from this week's Top Tuesday. Number 1, don't move on too soon. It takes time to build on your craft, not just the time you spend at college. You need to get used to a new environment once you leave and see what you then need to work on within this new environment. It's a process. Try to enjoy it. It's not a race. If you want to have a go at something else or something completely different from performing, it doesn't mean you have to leave and never come back. You'll always be a performer. It isn't going to run away. You'll always be an artist. Which brings me to number 3, being an artist. I really do think it's important to see yourself in this light. You can be both a performer and a creative. And even if you are a performer, particularly a dancer, please remember you are not a number, but an artist, and have plenty of other talents, from your high kicks to your personality, and any other party tricks we don't know about.